In just a few days, your taxes are due, and joining me to talk all about it is Raphael Tulino from the IRS. Hello, Raphael.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Sure. All right, so let's talk about it. Deadline is coming up. People got an extra month about to file their taxes and pay their tax bill, but here we are.
Yeah, it seems kind of weird to be talking about the second year in a row when you're talking about taxes after mid-April, but that's what happened again this year, due generally to some of the unintended consequences of the pandemic and timing and all the other things that are going on for the last 13, 14 months. But yeah, bottom line, you have that extra time, and a lot of folks are getting it done. Some are waiting. A lot of folks who you see wait generally have some payments due, balances due, as opposed to refund returns, which are generally more in the beginning part of it. That doesn't mean refunds aren't going out. They are, as best we can in the time frames we normally provide for folks. But generally, you see a lot of folks waiting till the last minute, and a lot of those tend to be those who owe, because you don't have to pay by law until the deadline, May 15th this year, or May 17th, sorry. And then the one thing to add, though, since I'm mentioning that, is when you file and when you get to it, if you can't full pay and you have a balance due, do pay something, do pay what you can. Let the agency know I can't full pay. I'm in a position where things haven't been so good, and let's work something out like an installment agreement and those kinds of things, paying over time. But do what you can to take care of your business, and you have a few days to do it left, really.
So that's a good point. You know, sometimes people are procrastinating and paying because they just don't have the money, and then they get scared and they're like, well, I don't have it, and I'm going to ignore it, pretend like it doesn't exist. But they should pay, if they can, a little something, and then try and work out a payment plan. Those are available.
Right, exactly. Because the penalty for not filing a tax return with a balance due is much greater than filing the return and not full paying. And the agency understands and has actually going back for many years, but if you can go back to 2008, after the crisis then really began that kind of a flexibility. And we've always had it, but we adjust as the years go, especially during a pandemic. We understand that. So the flexibility is there. Do pay something, and they'll work something out going forward. A lot easier than just forgetting about it or not doing it at all if you have balance due.
All right, so speaking of balances due, what if people owe money for their taxes, but they are actually anticipating some money back potentially because of that $10,200 of tax-free unemployment? What should they do? Should they pay and then wait for another refund, or what should they do?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the situation for the taxpayer and when they file, how much they have due, how big their refund is, all those kinds of things, income, a lot of different variables there. I generally wouldn't, on behalf of the IRS, give anybody any filing advice as to when, how, or what to do unless you know everything about that particular person or family. But that said, the IRS is on track to, in this month, to begin to issue refunds as part of that law that was retroactive, because a law passed March 12th or March 11th, I believe, was enacted. And that has the IRS having to send back those who paid taxes on unemployment. And that is for those $10,200 worth, $20,400 married filing joint for incomes below $150,000 household income. So that's the quick gist of what we're talking about here. In terms of those who filed pre and have a refund coming back, that will be happening at some point this month. To answer your question, I really don't have one. It's going to be one of those things where it depends on a lot of different things. But that said, if you owe a certain amount and you're okay with sending that in, no matter what it is or what part of taxes it is, if you overpay, you're going to get your money sent back to you at some point in terms of the refund. So depending on the amount and what you're comfortable with, that's what you might do. If you work with a tax professional like a CPA or something like that, you might consider checking in with them and seeing what their advice might be. But the bottom line is those monies will be issued beginning this month at some point all the way through the summertime.
What about, can we safely say now that lots of tax returns, because I've gotten a lot of questions from people saying, I still haven't gotten my tax refund yet, and it's been 3 months. It's been, more than the, 21 days, significantly more than the 21 days. Is it safe to say that a lot of tax returns this year had to be manually looked at, and that's what's taking so long for a lot?
Yeah, generally there is a lot of manual processing going on because there's a lot of different things that were thrown at IRS in terms of late legislation. So when late legislation comes along and maybe our systems can't get up to speed with electronically, also considering the COVID environment, when you have errors that get kicked out, a lot of that has to be done manually depending on the error. And then there were a lot of things that came at us pretty quick. So We're seeing some recovery rebate credit, those kinds of errors. Earned income tax credit, advanced child tax credit, those kinds of things may have been held. You get the idea. So unfortunately, that's the situation we're in. And it begs the message where do what you can to file an accurate return the first time so you don't get kicked out into what is known as error resolution, which can take a while to do that. And then that goes over to manual processing, considering where we are with our systems, all the legislation we've had to administer. And unfortunately, some of that is being kicked into manual, and that's people having to open up and look at it. And that's what you see in some of these delays. Now, that said, we're working pretty hard to get through all the backlog from to 2020 into this year. And we're still doing what we can to ask for patience, understanding that people want their money yesterday, so to speak, but at the same time, we need to be the best stewards we can with administering the law and making sure that we're stopping fraud, for example, before it goes out the door and those kinds of things. So understanding that, still asking for some patience on the timing of refunds and processing.
And then lastly, some folks have told me that they have received their refund back, but they are still missing an EIP3, the third stimulus payment. If they received their refund, which would then indicate that their return had been processed and the EIP3 hasn't been administered to them yet, does that particularly mean it would come in a plus-up payment later?
Yeah, it could. That's what the IRS will be doing throughout the year. The plus-up payment, if your income is different from 19 and 20, once again, we're administering a law right in the middle of tax filing season. So if you file for 19 and 20 is different than 19 and you qualify, then sure. So the IRS will be doing that throughout the rest of the year. I would only say ask for patience. There is that Get My Payment app on irs.gov and on your phone if you want to check it out on your mobile device. But certainly, still asking for patience there. And checking on those things, definitely go to irs.gov first before you consider calling or even making an appointment at an office. Just save yourself some time and frustration.
All right, Raphael, don't forget tax day, May 17th. File something, pay something, get something into the IRS by then, unless you, of course, file for an extension. Raphael, good to see you. Thank you.
Anytime, and October 15th, by the way, is still the extension deadline, but just as a reminder. So thanks so much.